Hey guys, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, and we are of course going to be watching Disturbing Things I Found on the Internet, Volume 15 by Lazy Masquerade. This came out recently, like literally the other day, 18 hours ago even, from me recording this. This came out 18 hours ago, so I figured like I had to do it soon because I didn't know it came out. It's like I had already uploaded yesterday's video. By the time I saw that it was up, I was like, oof. I guess I'm gonna have to wait for tomorrow to do it. Uh, but yeah, here we are doing that. No, I should have been doing like a Rotten Mango video or maybe a Stephanie Sue video today, but we're going to be skipping that for today. I'm still trying to get my schedule pushed around so that I can just stream the Rotten Mango videos and the Stephanie Sue videos at 6 p.m., but which I can't currently do. So, like eventually I will just get around to that, and we can just do them like possibly back to back, even like from day to day, rather than just like every other day. We can go back to having them every day if I can do that. So you just gotta wait. Just wait. Just cut me some slack and just wait. A few days until that's sorted out. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll still have to just do a video, but we need to do this one now, and then we can go back to Stephanie's stuff after that. Though yesterday was what? That was an Opium Zoo video, which was about the celebrity conspiracy theories, I think, which standard stuff, replacement theory, Illuminati stuff, cannibal slash murder stuff, I think. Stuff like that. But I don't know what we're going to be doing with Lazy Masquerade's videos. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen a Disturbing Things I Found on the Internet video. But I feel like I don't even remember what he could like get into in these segments. Also, this video is just from like the chapters down there, like how it's cut. It's in ascending order of length. Like the first story is the shortest, the last story is the longest.
Buried deep in the footnotes of old troll posts is a cursed link, one which led millions of oblivious internet users to a simple landing page.
Well, it has Kek in the name, so I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of a joke, and by it's probably like a dark joke or like snuff or something. But Kek, I think, is like a laughter in World of Warcraft or something, like one of the races. Like when you try to laugh or like say lol, it translates to Kek instead. Like it forcibly translates to Kek. That's how it works, right? Something like that, right?
Just a black screen, 2 obnoxious clowns, and a button marked Enter.
Website contains dark adult humor, which is unsuitable for children, 18 plus only. And are you a real gamer? Click here to join Kekma form. So yeah, they're talking about games, so Kek. Again, it has to do with laughter in World of Warcraft, which World of Warcraft is a video game, if you did not know what I was talking about.
2 obnoxious clowns, and a button marked Enter. This was Kekma.ga, a bait-and-switch shock site, which, though age-gated, certainly shouldn't be viewed by anyone.
I mean, bait and switch? I feel like the bait and switch would have been like, oh, it's just something silly. Because it's telling you, hey, this is not suitable for children. Well, I guess maybe say it's not suitable for life, potentially, but if that's the landing page, it's telling you, hey, this is not safe for work.
It was launched in April 2019 by
Lazy loves using this stock footage.
a notorious internet sadist, Obok Meatgod, the same gentleman behind womensalliance.xyz,
I vaguely remember this one.
who chose a domain name that blended Kek, or LOL, with MAGA. The site's purpose? To protest the safe and sterile, social media-dominated internet that had spread to browsers. To draw traffic, trolls and morbid pranksters advertised Kekma in bad faith. Bait links were shared on Discord servers, in the comment sections of historical and political YouTube videos, and on subreddits populated with young and naive users, like r/teenagers. Cool new Reddit alternative, they'd say. Or underground webcomic. A political discussion board. A meme treasure trove. Anything to get a click. Within seconds of entering, unsuspecting users were hauled into one of the most violently offensive experiences the web has ever offered. Even if your volume was set to low, the site would emit a deafeningly loud, sustained screech designed to damage the hearing of headphone users and give a minor heart attack to everyone else.
I feel like I've heard of that before, but maybe that's just a common thing that trolls do with these kinds of websites. I'm not 100% sure, but that just sounds standard.
At the same time, their browser window would forcefully switch to full screen mode.
Yep.
What appeared changed often. One of the many
Mild flashing lights warning. Skip to 157.
central videos was a medical recording of pork tapeworm cysts being squeezed from a human liver. Later, it evolved, or devolved, into a clip of a bloodied man squatting in a bathtub, forcing a large metal object into his urethra. Flashing incessantly behind the central video was a rapid-fire montage of pure depravity. These images also changed often, and included a man whose face had been mauled by a bear, another of a person who held onto a firecracker for too long, photoshopped corpses, dogs being skinned alive at meat markets, and other ambiguous gore. Alt F4ing wasn't an option. Trying to exit the site would only result in a dialog box pop-up, a known JavaScript trick that prevented escape.
Why? All this stuff sounds so familiar. What? It feels. Have I watched this video? I mean, this literally posted 18 hours ago, but this is just so familiar, and yet I don't know this. I'm not familiar with this name of the website. Like, all that sounds like something I've heard before, like recently even.
Kekma.ga spread like wildfire through word of mouth, drawing millions of eyes. And just like with Women's Alliance, Obok defended his creation.
Well, unless it was just like Women's Alliance, right? Is that just what I'm getting it confused with? Is that he's just doing the exact same thing that he did with that website? Except, yeah, I think he did the exact same thing. That's why I'm thinking that, wait, this is just so familiar. It's just both ends of the spectrum. Like, the Women's Alliance website was like a fake, I don't know what, feminism site? But then it tricks them into just hearing blaring sounds and a bunch of like snuff or whatever bad images. And then this opposite one, with the Keck stuff, is like for the gamers, slash, he pointed out the MAGA. I don't know if he actually means like that's supposed to be MAGA. So it's like you're getting both, I don't know if you want to call those the opposite ends of the spectrum, but those are like two different, three, if you want to say gamers are there too. Like you have three different types of groups of people in society. And, well, some of them can be interchangeable. They're not like all, they're not mutually exclusive, right? But you could argue like, oh, he's just trying to get everybody, not just like one type of people, or he doesn't hate one type of people. He's trying to like just be mean to everybody.
Stating that he gave every visitor a chance to turn back, and, mostly due to legal concerns, he chose not to include malware. But the site itself
He chose not to, but he wanted to. That's what that means.
was a virus of another kind. Not one that infected your system, but your brain. Those most indoctrinated describe themselves as the Kekma crew, so-called members of gamerkind, who
I don't know what the heck this is. Being the adventures of a young man. What word is that? Whose principal interests are blank, mutilation, and venom.
created hateful content targeting women and minorities. Kekma
It's kind of crazy that, even though, like I said, we have different spectrums of people here, this website specifically is doing bad things to potential just gamers, just random people, random innocent people, it's still going. It's like there's people out there like, oh yeah, this is so cool. I'm gonna be, for lack of a better word, a bigot.
Was blacklisted in many countries as a result. The site continuously reincarnated, from kekma.ga to kekma.xyz, and finally to kekma.net. Though it never truly broke through to the mainstream, it didn't need to. It slipped between the cracks and corrupted many a developing mind.
This mask, he can't help himself.
Young people, who, if anything, were only drawn in by the warning on the landing page, thinking it was all part of the joke. And then the joke became tricking other youngsters with the same link. Online violence isn't a new phenomenon by any means.
That's rotten.com. Again, I've never been to the site. I didn't even know this is what the site looked like. This is just something, like rotten.com is just something of an infamy that I just was able to avoid. I've mentioned it several times.
But it is certainly becoming more prevalent, and being shared more casually. And with so much real-life horror and hate just a click away, children aren't just being exposed to it, they're learning to laugh at it. Just look at the recent epidemic of AI gore on TikTok, where real-life tragedies are being filtered through apps like Runway and given a Minions or Lego paint job. These clips aren't just being made for children, but by them. Thought up and posted by those already desensitized, thanks to
Wait.
But by them.
This is the snuff video where the guy is just looking up at the guy, and allegedly a guy pulls out a pistol and shoots him on camera while he's recording it on his phone. That's what this video is, but it's been AI modified to be this silly thing here.
Thought up and posted by those already desensitized, thanks to sites like Kekma. In February 2022, without warning, Kekma.net shut down. According to Obok, Kekma was an experiment, a test to see how far shock could spread online, without ads, without PR, just through links. But it didn't die. Mirrors popped up. Community sites stayed active. By October, Kekma.net was live once again, back by popular demand. Because for some guinea pigs, Obok's experiment had a lasting impact.
Who's this new guy? Because don't we have someone else with a new mask? This guy just out there putting out all this stock footage with masks.
You've probably never heard of names like Spokio, Truthfinder.
Wait, what are we doing? We do an ad? Ad read? Aura? Yeah, I think we're doing an ad read.
Or being verified. But
whatever this is, Aura?
These are data brokers.
Yeah, I do not think
Your name, your address.
I've ever really heard of that website. Same thing with his other website. Even though they basically are doing the same thing, right? Same website, just different target audience to click on it. Not much to really say about that, because it's technically just a repeat of the website we've already seen right prior. So it's like it's literally just the exact same story told again. Same dude who's doing it, same outcome, etc., etc. So does Masquerade usually do like a intro or no? I like the Nick Crowley intros. Like, I really like there being this, not edgy, but like menacing is probably not even like a good word. Like, just this, an intro that sets the mood for the video. I wish Masquerade would do that instead of just like cold opening like this. I feel like he has done it sometimes, right? It's not just always cold open, but maybe it always has been. I'm just getting confused. I don't know.
A special thanks to Martin H. for bringing this entry to my attention.
TheEM.com. Have you ever made a video about the Norwegian eunuch maker, which I think would be right up your alley. I would be happy to help you with a research, translation / writing. I listened to a phone interview with him by Norwegian TV, and the story is as fascinating as it is morbid. I can assist with everything Nordic, so save my email if you ever need help. Kind regards, and then this person I can't see because the text is in the way. I am assuming by you, it is eunuch. Is it eunuch or eunuchs? I'm assuming like the Norwegian eunuch maker. A eunuch is like a castrated male, correct? I don't want to sound crazy. Okay, I just made sure to look it up before. Right now, I just paused and looked it up to see if I wasn't mistaking that. Like, I'm pretty sure that was the word. It's just, it's spelled weirdly here, because this guy says he's Norwegian, so I'm assuming English isn't his first language. Or, like, whatever the word eunuch comes from isn't his first language, because I don't know if it's even English. But yeah, it's a castrated male, which was something that was typically done, I guess, back in the day, is my understanding of it, like before. Where they would just do that to keep them, like, in line, to make sure they don't have children with like the women that are around. Like a king or someone in a high position would have a bunch of eunuchs around them. Like all the men that are around the person in power would be made eunuchs. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what I think, anyways. So this story can end up being kind of crazy just from that knowledge. Assuming you didn't know what that meant, now you do.
Between 2017 and
This is Martin, that's what it was.
2021, Norwegian-born Marius Gustavsson, a man with zero medical training, operated a secret network of
medical training, that already says a lot.
Marius Gustavsson, a man with zero medical training, operated a secret network of extreme body modification from his basement flat in Haringey, North London. But he wasn't offering tattoos or piercings. Gustavsson's service was far more radical and far more dangerous.
I'm assuming he was Masquerade was just gonna explain it anyways, so I didn't have to do that.
What he offered was nullification surgeries.
Nullification?
In the underground body mod scene, nullos are people, almost always men, who've had their reproductive organs removed. Most identify as having had their gender nullified, with many opting for a nulloplasty, a completely smooth look down there, akin to an Action Man or G.I. Joe. For some, it's about identity. For others, it's a fantasy or a mental compulsion. But for Gustavsson, it was a business. You see, online, Gustavsson went by a different name: Eunuch Maker. On his website, theem.com, he targeted those with body integrity identification disorder.
I don't know if I've heard that specific name before.
A rare condition characterized by a persistent and intense desire to have body parts removed, usually because they feel like foreign objects. Specifically, Gustavsson offered to turn people into nullos for low prices. No consultation required, no pesky psychiatrists involved. Acceptance guaranteed. Problem was, BIID is so rare that building a business model on back alley operations alone wasn't going to keep the lights on. But one thing that the internet's never been short of is morbidly curious degenerates. Through his site, Gustavsson set up a pay-per-view service.
Okay, it's like, what are you getting at there? But it's like people will want to watch this, I guess. Is he able to put them under and that he's like recording it while they're under? Or is he just doing it while they're awake?
A red room of sorts, though not one dedicated to snuff. He rigged his flat with cameras and turned it into a black market surgery centre. For an annual subscription of £100, or
Annual?
£35 during the New Year's sale, so-called VIPs could watch Eunuch Maker perform his surgeries live. Through encrypted forums and online groups, Gustavsson recruited volunteers. Young men, one as young as 16, who had fallen deep into the online nullo rabbit hole.
Would that not just be considered, philia? Like, I feel like if doing that in this kind of context would get you on a offender list.
He offered to remove any unwanted bits and pieces, free of charge, provided they didn't mind their procedure being live-streamed.
He was actually open about it, at least.
Then, for the viewing pleasure of his paying customers, he'd give his victims kitchen table surgeries, amputations, castrations, and penectomies, using makeshift tools like kitchen knives and livestock clamps. Some procedures involve slicing, or even worse, crushing the patient's most sensitive parts. Others
Sounds like unbelievable. So is there going to be like a like twist and it's like it's not real, or like where are we going with that? This sounds just so crazy.
included electric shocks, sub-zero freezing, or injection with various chemicals. He even branded his patients with the initials EM using a red-hot iron. To drive engagement, Gustafsson sometimes played a dice game live on stream to decide which body part should be removed next. Given how crude these life-threatening operations were, things inevitably went wrong, usually as a result of blood loss. During one episode, a patient was heard crying, "I don't want to die," while he hemorrhaged. Several patients had to be rushed to hospital to be saved by actual medical professionals, and at least one client lost function in his hands.
How do they like lose function in their hands? Like what? Did he lose enough blood that his hand go necrotic from the blood loss? Question mark. All I could assume. I don't know how like nobody died from this. Like how are you just doing this in a basement and nobody's died?
On the phone to emergency services, Gustafsson would lie, describing how his patients had actually injured themselves. Over the years, the EM website received plenty of traffic, as many as 300,000 visits per day, with 23,000 users signed up for the VIP membership package.
How? I've never heard of this before. How is this happening? How did this happen?
Analytics confirmed that this little venture had global appeal. The site had active users in every single country bar one: North Korea.
I mean, that makes sense. They don't have access, I assume.
Needless to say, it was a lucrative enterprise. As a side hustle, Gustafsson would pickle the removed body parts and sell them to customers. As one of his IRL friends recalled, "My partner and I were there when a sale went down."
Sounds like, again, like something that just could not happen. I mean, not necessarily it could not happen, but it's just so ludicrous that he was able to do this, get a website running, subscriptions to watch this stuff, which that's not really that surprising. I mean, people are out there trying to watch stuff every day, right? But then, like, just keeping the parts, pickling them, selling them, like, what? Also, technically, we're going into an offender list just because we mentioned someone of youth and people watching that person of youth.
He used the money to buy pizza. It wasn't a lot. But not all of the sliced-off appendages were sold. Gustafsson kept some as souvenirs, storing them in jars and displaying them over his bed. He was even known to serve private parts for lunch and film mukbangs for his audience. The occasional sausage platter, or a salad with nuts, he joked. This wasn't just a dark niche though. The EM.com had become a kind of cult of mutilation. Gustafsson surrounded himself with acolytes, fans, and partners who helped to spread his influence. And for years, nobody stopped him. He even had his closest followers perform procedures on him. In his words, he had himself turned into a Ken doll with nothing down there. Additionally, he had his left leg frozen with dry ice. From then on, he had to use a wheelchair and claimed £18,000 in disability benefits from the government.
How does the story just keep getting more and more ludicrous? What do you mean he also was a doll? You'd assume he was just doing this as like a businessman, but no, he's actually into it himself. He turned into a doll. He was like the doll maker from what is it called? Welcome to the Game, a video game that's about the dark web. Was the doll maker in Welcome to the Game based off of the eunuch maker? That would make a lot of sense, unless it was like based off like an actual real life doll maker guy. Because I think there was kind of a story, right, where a guy, I think, dug up corpses and like kind of turned them into dolls in his house. I think that's something that happened in real life. It could have been a combination of both of these things, but with the doll maker story in Welcome to the Game, if you want me to explain who that was, which this is a video game, so this is fiction, it's not real. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the doll maker was a guy who took, I think, women, removed their like arms and legs and sold them. I forget exactly. We'll stop at that. He removed their arms and legs, so basically any way to fight back, and sold them as dolls. Question mark. But yeah, it just reminds me of that, which that is not real. So to say like this is something that happened is just crazy. Again, the thing with the leg, like really, you froze your leg somehow, or you let your fans freeze your leg, which put you into a wheelchair, but then that somehow got you government aid. Like, how did you get government aid for that? What did you tell them that happens? That let them give you money for that. I feel like if you did it to yourself, you get nothing. You just have to live in a wheelchair forever.
But EM's business would come crashing down in 2021, when one courageous victim approached Devon and Cornwall police with a USB stick. It contained over 5,000 WhatsApp messages, more than 100 images, and multiple videos, all documenting what had been done to him. He described how he had been drugged before the backstreet surgeon began cutting into him with a scalpel. At one point, he said that he was strapped to a bed and electrocuted. A digital viewing team of 6 officers watched over 400 hours of footage to help identify Gustafsson's numerous assistants. After a complex investigation, British authorities arrested 46-year-old Gustafsson and
was jailed for life.
6 co-conspirators. Charges ranged from grievous bodily harm to the distribution of material involving minors. Prosecutors described Gustafsson as a master manipulator who controlled and exploited vulnerable young men under the guise of being their friend. For his victims, they said, the horror was both physical and psychological. Some of them later admitted to feeling coerced, misled, or even brainwashed into becoming nullos. Others said that they were mesmerized, seeing the calm and confident eunuch maker in the flesh. In response, his defense team played the Joker card, saying that
the Joker card? What, that society made him into this? I mean, it depends on what Joker we're talking about. What is the card? What is a Joker card? Insanity, or he's a product of society, or what?
the Norwegian only wanted to put a smile on people's faces, both those he was transforming and those who were watching his live streams.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Besides, all of his patients had consented to their procedures. But consenting to extreme body mods...
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Like, you still need a medical degree to do medical surgeries and whatnot. You can't practice without a license.
...isn't a defense in the UK. Aside from tattoos and piercings, pretty much every modification is illegal, or dubiously legal at best. And so, in May 2024, at the Old Bailey in London, Gustafsson was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 22 years. The judge described him as the architect of a deeply disturbing enterprise, one that blurred the line between consent and exploitation, fantasy and irreversible harm. Gustafsson showed no remorse, not for the crimes he had committed, nor for the lasting physical and psychological damage he had inflicted. This story shocked even the darkest corners of the internet.
I've never heard of it.
Gustafsson didn't invent the idea of nullification, but he did turn that subculture into something predatory.
And I'd never heard of that either, so that's also a new story for me, or a new term even. I now know what a Nolo is, I guess.
And even now, remnants of his network remain online.
Okay, so next is Beanbag Adventure. I can only imagine what we're talking about.
Most towns have their fair share of abandoned buildings, and most of them tell the same old story. Mold, neglect, the slow decay of something that used to matter. If you were to go urban exploring in the rundown remnants of a former school, hospital, or factory, you'd likely find little else other than broken glass, rusty bed frames, discarded stationery, or the occasional mattress. Echoes of life, long since emptied out. But what one Chinese explorer discovered was anything but typical.
Wait. Okay, no, I was like, is this something I've seen before? But no. There's no way it's going to be like a story I've seen in some other video. What could Beanbag Adventure be in a Chinese exploration video? Is it like a beanbag in some abandoned building? What's going to be on or in or around that beanbag? Like beanbag chair is what I'm talking about.
In February 2022, a Bilibili and Douyin user known as Beanbag Adventure.
Okay, no, that's just his name. We have no dates on these videos. Oh, we do. This one says 2022. Is this guy dead? If this is a pull-up of this guy's channel, why is, assuming this was like brand new at this time, why is there only 4 videos since 2022?
February 2022, a Bilibili and Douyin user known as Beanbag Adventure uploaded footage of what appeared to be an abandoned air raid bunker, one supposedly located in Jilin province. At first, the video felt like your standard urbex fare, but as Beanbag ventured further through the upper hallways and rooms, he came across some unsettling items. Empty medical bottles, children's masks.
I've seen this. Masquerade, what are you doing with this video? I swore I could have. I knew about this Kekma stuff, but I think it's just him talking about the Women's Alliance or whatever it was called thing. But this one we didn't. This one, at least this EM stuff is one crazy, and I have not heard about it somehow. That is such a stranger than fiction kind of story. Like, what do you mean that happens? But this one, I think I've seen this video. Like, I don't know why I was having that feeling at the beginning, because there was like almost no information to go off of, but I swear I've seen this guy playing around with this mask before.
A suitcase containing a high heel and what appeared to be human bones. As Beanbag
It's like an x-ray sheet.
described, a distinctive smell of rot permeated the air, and it slowly became more noticeable, more putrid.
I think what I was thinking of was the like tunnel or whatever that had like the slurry of. You should have already understood this since the beginning, because viewer discretion is advised. But like a slurry of human, in like a tub or just a little like I don't know what to call it other than like a tub.
He followed his nose into the depths of the structure, making.
Should not be walking down this. Like that's not even. The stairs are destroyed. Like hello. You should not be going down those. I feel like the only way you could get down is not even using the stairs like this. You probably should not be doing that. Like the only thing would be to like drop down here, but that's dangerous too because the sudden weight on these stairs could cause them to collapse. Like I feel like if you see something like this in one of these buildings, you should just be like, okay, I'm not going anywhere.
Making his way through claustrophobic concrete tunnels.
And here he is, he's doing that. Literally half the stairs are gone. Like they literally have fallen off. This side of the stairs have fallen off, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go down these, what's left of them anyways. Even though the integrity of these stairs have already been shown to me, they have been compromised, I'm going to take them anyways.
Find the source of the foul stench. It led him to one particular chamber, a makeshift laboratory.
Yep. It is. I don't know why immediately I was like, it's the bathtubs. Well, I don't know why. What even gave me that idea? Because I don't know anything about Beanbag Adventure. I probably never even heard this guy's name. I only seen them talk about the video. Maybe it was like a Nexpo video or a Nick Crowley video, but and these early shots didn't remind me of anything either. Maybe that shot. This one was kind of familiar, but I'm pretty sure this is what the like containers with the tarps over them with human slurry on the inside.
With medical bottles and children's clothes on the ground. Through a voiceover, Beanbag warned viewers that they were about to see something that wasn't for the weak of stomach. The camera panned into what looked like a pool or vat. Inside it was a murky liquid, and approximately
So vat's a good word to use for this.
20 to 25 bloated bodies in various stages of decomposition. Judging by their shape and size, most, if not all of them, were children and toddlers. Beanbag insisted that the bodies were props, hinting that he had to say that for the algorithm. He then repeatedly told viewers to pay attention to the details. After examining the water, he walked off screen and began gagging. At the time, most people took Beanbag's comment that these were movie props at face value, assuming that the video had been staged. As a result, it didn't receive too much attention. But in a second video, filmed on December 26th, 10 months after his first visit.
Does this guy go missing? Is that part of the story? Which would make sense since I was commenting on the fact that he has not posted in years.
Beanbag returned. This time, the camera lingered on the pool. Eerily, the fluid level was noticeably lower, with most of the bodies now floating on the surface. What convinced many that they were real and not props was that the exposed portions of flesh had noticeably decomposed since the first video, while the submerged areas remained mostly intact. Based on its color and the context, many assumed the liquid to be formalin, a common preservative made up of 37% formaldehyde. A tarp-like screen had also been partially pulled over the tank, perhaps in an effort to stop the formula from evaporating. And if it wasn't Beanbag who had moved it, that raised a question.
I was going to say, I was pretty sure on his second trip, the implication is that someone had already come back here and messed around or whatever, implying that they're still here doing stuff, and this is like the base of like a serial killer or something. So we're not even halfway through the story, and that's all I remember is just guy goes to abandoned location, finds vat of human slurry, and who knows what's happened after that, but does this guy disappear? Does he tell the authorities, and then he just disappears off the face of the planet?
Was someone maintaining the site? Monitoring the state of the bodies? If so, for what purpose? Wading through sludge that reached up to his ankles, Beanbag returned for a third visit a few days later, where he discovered jars with what looked like fetuses suspended in liquid. One container held a reassembled human spine. Plastic bags sat nearby, filled with adult bones, some still bearing metal pins and brackets, the kind used in anatomical displays. These 2 December videos set the Chinese internet ablaze. Under Beanbag's videos, a few theorized that the children in the solution had fallen victim to black market organ harvesting, a hugely profitable business in China, a country where, for cultural reasons, organ donors are few and far between, and yet a place where transplants are somehow readily available for wealthy tourists and the elite.
Yeah, I think that was like talked about in whatever other video I watched before, but what was that? I didn't like what he did here though. He took this bottle, whatever the heck
A
this is,
country
and
where, for
threw
cultural
it.
reasons, organ donors are few and far.
And you see it break, so I don't know why he did that. I didn't like
And
that.
the elite. These children, they said, had no doubt been abducted for their valuable insights. At some point between February and December, their killers had returned to the facility, deemed the half-preserved specimens unsalvageable, and abandoned the operation. Thing is, covering a body in formaldehyde renders the internal organs unusable, so why keep them in a formalin bath to begin with? Well, some of the remains seemed to be missing their eyes, and showed signs of having been cut open, so it's possible that they had been placed in the solution after having already been harvested. With that in mind, many netizens reached the same chilling conclusion.
Hold up.
With that in mind, many netizens reached the same chilling conclusion.
So we were hanging on this picture for a while. It's like, hello? You're out here in this water, and if we can see that you're possibly not even wearing socks, you get water in your shoes. But yeah, this story, again, we're not even halfway through, so where is this gonna go? Like, I know I'm probably not sounding too, like, flabbergasted, because again, I've already heard this story. I already know about all this stuff. Even, like, what they could be, like, allegedly children and allegedly the black market or red market and whatnot. Like, I've already heard all that before. I don't know if we've gone off of the possibly conspiracy that, like, he's the one who's done this. He's the serial killer. And he's just documenting this as, like, a, hey, look what I found kind of thing. I doubt that's, like, anything anyone's thought about, but...
That this was a corpse farm. As detailed by user Kun Report on the
Possible corpse farm in China.
r/no rules subreddit, in China, there's a significant market, often opaque, for preserved human specimens.
Is there? I have a lot to say. Try to reach your own conclusions. Here it is. I'm assuming this has been translated. Many of you might be familiar with the Beanbag Adventures video. For those of you who aren't, here is a quick summary. A Chinese TikTok account that goes by Beanbag Adventure, we'll call the poster BB, uploaded a video. What appears to be an abandoned air raid bunker. In it, there were various things, amongst them a pool filled with half-decomposed corpses and an unknown liquid. Maybe this isn't, this was Beanbag Adventure themselves. This is a random person on Reddit, so it's not them. Many of which seem to be from the youth. This bunker, I don't know why I said the youth instead of children. I feel like I have to just censor the word children nowadays. This bunker is allegedly located in the Jilin province in China. Some say it's specifically the Bethune Medical College of Jilin University in Chengchun City. The second video was taken months later, and BB showed the date in his phone, December 26, 2022. Nick Crowley has a quite informative YouTube video. Okay, so Crowley was the one where I learned about this video then. I'm guessing Masquerade's finally taking his swing at it. I highly recommend you watch it. The sponsored content is easy to skip. You didn't need to say that. Many believe it is an organ farm, which makes sense, but I don't think this is quite the case. I believe what we are looking at is a corpse farm, or the remains of one. What is a corpse farm? A facility used for the illegal or clandestine processing of corpses for the intention of using them for anatomical models or plastination. I will add some context to that later. Let's take a look at the videos. I have to warn you, they are quite gruesome. The videos in question abridged into one.
Those used for medical training, university research, and museum exhibits. Though it sounds niche, the economics suggest otherwise. As mentioned in my E Cuerpos coverage, a single cadaver, properly processed, can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Globally, the industry is worth millions, and China is the world leader in exports, with private and state-run facilities processing bodies on an industrial scale. One of the most infamous facilities was established south of Jilin in the early 2000s, namely Von Hagen's Dalian Plastination Co. Limited. The founder, German anatomist Gunther von Hagens, pioneered a process called plastination, which
The following contains real human anatomy, presented for documentary and educational purposes. I don't know if I should leave this in, just for my own sake, just for the own sake of my channel. Let's just see
which
what
preserves
this is.
fresh bodies by replacing fluids and fat with plastic polymers.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm looking
Said
at.
bodies can then be turned into artworks. You're no doubt familiar with the exhibition Body Walls, which tours globally, attracts millions of visitors, and is featured in movies like Casino Royale. That's Von Hagen's work. Since its inception, the venture has generated hundreds of millions in profits, but controversy has always followed his work. Von Hagens has openly admitted that he hasn't always been sure where his specimens came from.
Look, I've heard that before. Crowley talk about this too? I feel like Crowley talked about this exact thing as well. Also, it was just a bunch of like human bodies, like the muscles and whatnot, just posed in different poses. There's like a deer as well, like just skinless beings, essentially, just splayed out in different poses. Which I guess you're to assume that they were once a real person.
And that many were simply fresh, unclaimed bodies from China. In one documented case, he returned 7 models to Chinese suppliers after learning that the bodies may have come from executed prisoners. Around that same time, China launched a sweeping crackdown on Falun Gong, a spiritual movement with as many as 70 million followers. For those Falun Gong members who were unable to escape China, the consequences were severe. Many were forced underground, or detained, or sent to re-education and labor camps. Others were tortured, or disappeared entirely. Among the victims were Yun Zhang and her husband, Song Tao. In 1999, Song was sent to a labor camp without trial, targeted simply for his beliefs. Guards tortured him with electric batons, trying to force a renunciation of his faith. He died under their hands. Yun was given an urn, supposedly containing his ashes, but he had been cremated before she could even identify him.
I guess they just gave her some random person and then sold the body off, question mark?
2 years later, in 2001, Yun herself disappeared at the age of 29. As of 2025, her fate remains unknown. The Falun Gong purge continues to this day.
I don't know what that faith/cult, is it a cult or just faith, does or is doing, and why the government is literally killing question mark these people. I feel like that's something we need to be talking about. What?
2022 alone, the same year Beanbag uploaded his video, an estimated 172 Falun Gong members were executed, many without a trial.
Like, is it just like, hey, we can make scapegoats out of these people and get their organs, and nobody will be able to do anything about it because we're just saying they're evil and they've done bad stuff, so we get to kill them for free and harvest their organs for money.
Human rights groups have since raised concerns that some of the bodies used in plastination, or anatomical exports more generally, may have come from Falun Gong prisoners. Further suspicion.
Also, that was just him reusing those stuff. So if you wanted to know what they look like, that's that. He didn't give a warning there. Masquerade, you gave a warning for the other one, but not those.
Was fueled by Von Hagen's reported ties to Bo Xilei, the mayor of Dalian, who allegedly helped support the facility by providing Von Hagen with the bodies of Falun Gong members and the victims of organ trafficking. Bo's wife, Gu Kailei, was later convicted of murder and corruption, adding more fuel to online speculation.
Suspended death sentence, it said there. Again, Crowley, no warning. I'm not Crowley. Again, Masquerade, no warning.
One rumor in particular refuses to die. In the late 1990s, Beausoleil was rumoured to have had an affair with local celebrity Zhang Weiji. After becoming pregnant, Zhang decided to go public with the news. Days later, she vanished. Subsequently, a plastinated model appeared in one of von Hagen's exhibits, one of a pregnant woman, dramatically posed, one hand on her head. The resemblance to Zhang sparked rumours. Some claimed the body was Zhang. No DNA test was ever performed, and eventually, the fleshy statue was quietly removed.
Well, quietly removed, and does that mean that they know something's up? So he's like, you know, and let me just get rid of this for now.
In Cone Report's mind, the figure's hand was oriented like that to hide the bullet hole in the back of her head.
That makes sense, but who are we ever going to know? No.
Von Hagen's legal team denied those allegations.
Also, I've just realized we've gone on such a huge tangent from just this guy finding those vats, because I was like, where are we going to go with this video, with this segment, when there's so much more to go? But we just went on a full off-the-rails tangent about corpse trade, the red market and whatnot, and like using them for educational, quote-unquote, purposes, or artwork. You want to call it that?
And today, the company insists it no longer sources human remains from China. But even with von Hagen's factory gone, many clandestine processing facilities do continue to operate in Jilin and Dalian to this day, exporting bodies to similar exhibits around the globe. The question is, in a country where organ and body donation is a cultural taboo, are there really so many willing volunteer donors that they need numerous cadaver processing plants concentrated in the same area? For obvious reasons, many believe that there's something shady going on. This has led to people debating if the victims in the beanbag uploads were the children of purged Falun Gong members, if they were acquired from orphanages, hospitals, or kidnapping rings, and if their own government had a hand in what was happening. Now here's where caution comes in.
Okay. What are we gonna get into?
Despite the viral reaction to Beanbag Adventure's second and third videos, no independent verification has confirmed what he filmed.
Yeah, of course. But is he just, has he vanished, is also an issue. Because it seemed like he has.
There have been no official investigations, no forensic follow-up, and no third-party analysis of the site.
Why would there be, though? If it's the Chinese government doing it, which is what everyone is assuming, I'm assuming, then why would there be any sort of follow-up? It would be, okay, we gotta kill this guy and use his body as a educational piece of art, and nobody will ever know otherwise. Begging, like, why would we ever find out what happens? The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to get covered up, and this guy's possibly going to die.
While the footage appears extremely convincing, and the body's graphically realistic, it's possible it was staged.
Sure, that's also a thing as well. If we're going off of it just being real, and the government just covering up, well then yeah, it's probably just, it could just be fake.
Either as an elaborate hoax, an art project, or a social commentary piece.
ARG.
The idea of corpse farms, while real, has also been a favourite trope in Chinese horror media. So without clearer proof, the claim that this bunker was part of an illegal body processing network remains speculative. Even so, the imagery stuck, and the context, the very real history of unethical body sourcing in China, gives the videos weight. As for Beanbag Adventure, after posting the footage, his account was banned, and he vanished from
Okay, that would make sense. That would make more sense. He got banned.
From social media for nearly 2 months.
Only 2 months.
When his account was reinstated, he continued posting Urbex content as if nothing had happened, deleted the bunker videos, and never mentioned or referenced them again. Was it all a hoax?
Okay, so he is still posting ? But of course, you'd have to delete them. Because you'd assume they're going against terms of service, which is basically snuff at that point. So there's also the people to go crazy conspiracy. You know, China government came in, they shut his website, his TikTok down, but because they need to not seem suspicious, they replace him with someone else who just goes around and does the same thing, but they probably killed the actual main guy and just replace him with some other dude who looks close enough.
Or had he been warned to never speak of his discovery?
Yeah, or that as well, again. Being warned, because there was talk of stuff like that during the, virus a few years ago, if you know what I'm talking about, since apparently I guess you're not still not allowed to talk about it. Where we had like Chinese news reporters going missing and then like finally coming back and being like, doing like a professional talk about, oh, nothing is wrong, the Chinese government is great, China's great, yada yada yada, all the while looking like they're being held at gunpoint, you know? So, who knows?
Lest he end up on the body market himself. We may never know for sure, but if the so-called props were real, 3 questions still linger. Who were these children? Who put them in the formalin bath? And are they still floating there as we speak?
Oh, really slowed that down, just let it hang. Amy Lynn Bradley. Now again, I was saying this is the longest story. So what is going to happen here?
In the 1990s, cruise ships promised luxury, freedom, and tropical escape. But behind the glossy brochures and smiling star photos was a different reality. One of lax security, minimal oversight, and jurisdictional loopholes that left passengers shockingly vulnerable. Surveillance was limited. Background checks were loose. And once you were at sea, you were at the mercy of the ship's own internal systems, not the laws of any single country. It was the perfect setting for someone to vanish without a trace. And in 1998, that's exactly what happened to 23-year-old Amy Lynn Bradley. At the time, Amy lived just outside of Richmond, Virginia, with her parents, Ivor and Ron, and her brother, Brad. By pure luck, her parents had won a pair of cruise tickets through a sweepstake at Ron's company, and, being generous, they offered to pay for Amy and Brad to join them on the trip of a lifetime. Amy was initially hesitant. Although she loved swimming, she had a mild phobia of the open ocean.
Understandable.
She also had a fear of heights.
Which I don't know if I mentioned it in these videos, but I am thinking about playing, what is it called? Subnautica? Is it Subnautica? That's what it's called? Which is an underwater game. It's light horror. I don't think it's like that much horror. Just like once you get far into the game, I think there's a lot of horror, but I think it's just underwater game, so there might be a lot of, thalassophobia? That's what it's called in that, so if you want to see some of that, let me know.
And the upper deck of the cruise ship was 105 feet above the waterline. However, when her brother Brad accepted their offer, so did Amy. The siblings were close, and in spite of her phobias, she saw it as a good opportunity to enjoy a week of sun, sightseeing, and family bonding. On March 21st, the Bradleys boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas, an 11-deck cruise liner operated by Royal Caribbean, bound for the island of Curaçao.
Is this the liner?
On the morning of March 23rd, the ship docked in Aruba. Amy and her relatives spent the day exploring the island. That evening, the Bradleys all got dressed up for dinner, where the ship's photographer took pictures of them in their formal wear. Amy drew a lot of attention during dinner, not just from other passengers, but also from crew members. Several waiters had suggested taking her to Carlos and Charlie's while they were docked in Aruba. Incidentally, the same venue where Natalie Holloway would disappear 7 years later. Amy turned down their offers, telling her dad that they gave her the creeps.
What was this little drop here? Huh?
Dinner. Not just from other passengers, but also from crew members.
Yeah, like, I don't know what they're creeping.
Several waiters had suggested taking her to Carlos and Charlie's while they were docked in Aruba.
Is this place infamous or something? Because he said 7 years after whatever's happening now, a woman would go missing here. And that's just like information we're supposed to know already about that story?
Incidentally, the same venue where Natalie Holloway would disappear 7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years after whatever's happening this time around, this woman disappears at that talked about place, that restaurant.
Amy turned
But it has nothing to do with the story. It just happens to be something that's just coincidental.
down their office, telling her dad that they gave her the creeps. In fact, Amy expressed repeated discomfort throughout those first days of the cruise, telling her family that she felt uneasy around certain crew members and didn't want to leave the ship unaccompanied.
Yeah, why are there so many creepos on this ship?
After dinner, the Bradleys changed back into their casual clothes.
Also, is this inside a ship? This looks crazy. It looks like a mall, but like even better than a mall. Like, how do you have such a crazy looking place on a boat? Not even on a building that's attached to the ground. This is in a boat.
While Amy and Brad went to the onboard casino, their mother went to buy their formal photos, only to notice that all of the pictures of Amy were gone.
What is with these psychopaths on this boat?
The photographer recalled printing the images, though was unsure who had removed them. He reprinted them for Ivor, who assumed there must have been some sort of mix-up. Later, Amy and Brad headed to the Viking Lounge, a nightclub on the 9th floor deck.
This is dancing. We're doing freaking cha-cha slide? Is that what I'm looking at right now?
They danced, had a few drinks, and returned to their cabin at around 3:35 AM on the 24th.
I swear to God, they're doing the cha-cha slide.
The two stayed up, talking on their balcony, discussing their upcoming plans for Curacao. Eventually, Brad went to bed, leaving Amy alone outside.
On the balcony.
At 5:30 AM, their father, Ron Bradley, briefly awoke and looked out the window.
Also, I was thinking about they were like at a balcony or something. I was like, oh yeah, this is just a balcony, but like we're on a boat still, right? So the balcony is worse than just the balcony on a regular building because we are over water right now, right? We're not parked anywhere on land. We're just. Let's just listen to this entire thing again.
Later, Amy and Brad headed to the Viking Lounge, a nightclub on the 9th floor deck.
9th floor deck. The word deck implies that this is still on the boat.
They danced, had a few drinks, and returned to their cabin at around 3:35 AM on the 24th.
So that's a cabin.
The two stayed up, talking on their balcony,
Their balcony.
discussing their upcoming plans for Curacao. Eventually, Brad went to bed,
It's like, aren't they together in the same place though? How could someone, if someone's going to do something to her, I feel like he would have known, but maybe she has her own room, and maybe like the balconies are shared.
leaving Amy alone outside. At 5:30 AM, their father, Ron Bradley, briefly awoke and looked out the window. Amy was still out on the balcony, asleep on a lounge chair. I could see Amy's legs from her hips down, he would later report.
Okay.
Dozed back off to sleep.
I mean, that's unfortunate. If something happened to her, I feel like I would have been like, oh, I need to go wake my daughter up and tell her to come inside. But I guess it didn't cross his mind because maybe he didn't think she was asleep, or he thought nothing was wrong. Because obviously, why would he think anything's wrong outside of her talking about men constantly being creepy?
The balcony door was closed. I would have got up and closed it otherwise. But when Ron awoke again at 6 AM, that same balcony door had been half opened.
Is this like 30 minutes later? 'Cause I think it was really early, like 5:30, and then he woke up 30 minutes later, I'm guessing. And then he didn't hear any commotion, didn't hear anyone open that door, or probably didn't hear her leave.
And Amy was gone. Her shoes, ID, and belongings were still in the cabin. In that 30-minute window, she had seemingly evaporated.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
But her cigarettes were gone, and there was evidence that she had changed her clothes. Walking off in the early hours was completely unlike Amy. Her father knew that she would have at least left a note. Thus, after spending half an hour searching the upper decks for Amy, Ron began to panic. The ship had just docked in Curacao, and early birds were already preparing to disembark.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not in the water anymore. It's on land, which means she could be anywhere now. She could be long gone.
At 6:30 a.m., he alerted the crew and urged them to lock down the ship. "Don't let anyone off this boat," he told them. "Someone has my daughter." His request for an announcement to be made over the intercom was rejected.
Of course. Plus, if everyone on the boat's in on it, well then you're not going to get anything.
And the captain intentionally delayed a vessel-wide search, as he didn't want to cause alarm and kill the Calypso atmosphere.
The Calypso atmosphere? Is that what this thing's called, the Calypso?
Shortly thereafter, the gangway was lowered, and most of the ship's 2,000 passengers disembarked for the day. If Amy had been taken, this moment would have given someone the perfect window to smuggle her off.
Okay, so they were docked, but not in a way that would let people off, and now they're being let off. So now it's just, she could be anywhere.
At 7:50 a.m., when the majority of passengers were already on the island, the crew finally made a single, quiet announcement. "Will Amy Bradley please come to the purser's desk?" She never did. Some crew members believed that Amy must have fallen overboard. Perhaps after waking up on the balcony, she had stumbled up and over the railing. That seemed to be the simplest explanation. But the Bradleys dismissed that theory quickly. Not only were the railings very high, and Amy very short, but she was also a former lifeguard and a strong swimmer. What's more, they were near the shore. Add to that her fear of heights and the open ocean, and her family was certain that she wouldn't have willingly gone near the railing. When others suggested that she may have already disembarked the vessel that morning, the Bradleys...
Yeah, because you let her. If that was the case, because you refused to ask her to do anything before you let everyone off.
Bradley stated that she had no reason to disappear. Instead, they believed that someone on board knew what happened to her, and so did several other passengers. When news of the incident spread, 2 witnesses came forward, claiming to have seen Amy at 5:45 a.m. taking a glass elevator to the top deck.
Okay, 5:45, so 15 minutes before he woke up.
Supposedly in the company of a Royal Caribbean employee. That employee was later identified as Alistair Yellow Douglas, bass player for the ship's band, Blue Orchid. A third witness claimed to have seen Amy in yellow at 6 a.m., just before the ship docked at Curacao.
Okay, still alive, still with this guy.
"I saw Amy and the band member walk over and up to the next deck above us," alleged the witness. "He handed her a dark-coloured drink, maybe coffee. About 10 minutes later, he came walking around by himself." These tips set off alarm bells in Brad's head.
I mean, he gave her a drink, could have been roofied or whatnot. So that's not great already.
Before Amy's disappearance had been publicly announced, Yellow had approached him and said, "I'm sorry to hear about your sister." When an editor on board named Chris Fenwick heard about
What?
publicly announced, Yellow had approached him, walking around by himself. These tips set off alarm bells in Brad's head. Before Amy's disappearance had been publicly announced.
Before it was announced.
Yellow had approached him and said, "I'm sorry to hear about your sister." When an editor on board named Chris Fenwick heard about Amy's disappearance, he checked video footage taken at the Viking Lounge the night prior. Eerily, his cameraman had inadvertently captured these shots of Amy dancing with a bald-headed man. One,
Which, I'm pretty sure that's Yellow.
Alistair Yellow Douglas. Curiously, Chris would later receive a call from the ship's head of security, one Lou Costello, and was told that he would need to hand over the master tapes. Chris refused to give them up, fearing that the cruise company wanted to erase as much evidence as possible to protect their image. As if to confirm his suspicion, Royal Caribbean lawyered up almost immediately and shut down all communication with the Bradley family. The company was no stranger to controversies, with their ships having been the setting of multiple SAs and deaths in the past. After being identified as a possible suspect, Yellow was questioned by the FBI on March 25th. He admitted to dancing with Amy at the nightclub and claimed that they parted ways at about 1 AM.
Okay, but again, you've been seen with her at 5:45 and 6. We still have half the story to go, so is this we're gonna find out what happened to her, or what? At least find out if he did it, or who did it, and if they got punished?
Apparently, he took the staff elevator, and she walked off in the opposite direction. He said he didn't see her again after that. His polygraph test results were deemed inconclusive, so basically how all polygraph results should be viewed anyway.
Yeah.
And due to a lack of evidence, he was allowed to walk. According to Amy's father, Yellow left that interview with a big smile on his face, flashing a thumbs up to his bandmates. Meanwhile, search dogs brought on board traced Amy's scent to the gangway, the exit used by passengers to leave the ship. That single clue backed the family's worst fear, that Amy may have been taken ashore against her will. The Bradleys stayed behind in Curacao as authorities launched a 4-day search of the surrounding islands and waters.
Yeah, only 4 days, but of course they can't be doing it forever, right?
Unfortunately, no trace of Amy was found anywhere.
And why would there be? So what do we have her being placed at? She took elevator to the top of this boat around 5:45, 6, but then she was still with them at 6, and at some point they saw him by himself, so I feel like she was already gone, or possibly even dead, maybe thrown into the water, we don't know at this point. But the dogs found that she had left, unless that was just them smelling her having gotten onto the boat, rather than her having left.
When they learned that the initial search of the ship hadn't been thorough, the Bradleys reboarded and ensured that every nook and cranny was checked. Again, there was no sign of their missing daughter.
And again, you're on water, so she could be long gone to the sea, right, at this point?
Amy's devastated loved ones were forced to catch a flight home without her. It began to seem as if she really had fallen into the ocean.
Like, how can you just, go home? I mean, you have to go back to your life and work and whatnot, but, your daughter's gone, your sister's gone, and there's, nothing you can do about it but go back home? With her possibly lost in some foreign place, or still on that boat somewhere, or who knows? Or dead, obviously, as well.
But then came the sightings. The first occurred 5 months after Amy disappeared.
5 months?
When 2 Canadian tourists reported seeing a distressed woman on a Curacao beach being escorted by 2 aggressive men. It was clear that she wanted to get their attention. "The second she heard me speaking English, she sped up," recalled one of the tourists. "She was trying to get away from them. I was 2 feet away." But before the woman could open her mouth, the 2 men ushered her away. The tourist described the woman's tattoos: a gecko on her stomach, a Tasmanian devil on her shoulder, a symbol on her ankle, and a rising sun on her back. All 4 matched Amy's. Even more chilling, they said that one of the men flanking Amy looked exactly like Alistair Yellow Douglas. Authorities returned to the island to investigate, but once again, they found nothing.
Of course, because you just never are going to find anything when we need you to, right? Just always can't do anything. So at least she was still alive for 5 months afterwards, so they had the chance to get her, but I guess she's just gone now. So, maybe it's not as bad as it seems. Maybe they're holding her hostage, and it's not, trafficking, or they're going to kill her. It's they're kind of just, trying to keep her here as, I don't know, Yellow's girlfriend or something. That's, best case scenario, but it's probably whatever the worst case scenario is, or close to it.
A year later, in 1999, a petty officer serving in the US Navy entered a Curacao brothel.
So, still things to be heard even a year later, in 1999, which is wow, that's a long time ago.
While drinking in the bar area, a woman approached him and said that her name was Amy Bradley. She begged him for help, saying that she was being held there against her will. Initially, the officer didn't report the incident, fearing disciplinary action for being in an unauthorized area. Instead, he simply told the woman where his ship was docked. 2 men then arrived and ordered her upstairs. The officer came forward with this information in 2002, after he had retired, of course, when he saw a photo of that same woman in a magazine discussing Amy Bradley's disappearance.
Really? 3 years later, you're like, oh yeah, I saw her. I didn't want to get in trouble, so... I just let her stay trafficked. Or not trafficked, but prisoner. You know, because I didn't want to get in trouble for being at a brothel.
By the time his tip reached the authorities, the building had already burned down. Any potential records were gone. In late 1999, the Bradley family received yet another glimmer of hope from a man named Frank Jones. He claimed to be a former Navy SEAL in command of an elite team of mercenaries. According to him, she was being held inside a heavily guarded compound. Frank sent them photos of a woman bearing Amy's tattoos, convincing the Bradleys that his intel was sound. For months, Frank kept feeding them updates, sightings, movements, plans for a daring rescue. But there was a catch. He needed money.
Are we saying this is just a scam? And they were just photoshopping stuff onto some random woman?
With the help of the National Missing Children's Organization, the Bradleys wired him over $200,000 to
Masquerade loves this scuffed up dollar bill having yellow smoke blown through it.
fund the operation. They waited for the call that Amy had been freed, but it never came. Frank Jones was a con artist, not a soldier. He had fabricated the whole story and staged the photos using an actress.
That's what I figured.
In 2002, Frank was charged with defrauding the Bradleys. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 5 years.
What about that money?
In 2005, another witness spotted a woman in a department store bathroom in Barbados, visibly distressed and accompanied by 3 men. The witness reported hearing the males threaten her, telling her she had to go through with the deal before stepping outside of the restroom. Seizing the moment, the witness approached the woman and asked if she was okay. The woman, shaken and scared, whispered, "My name's Amy. I'm from Virginia." But before the witness could react, the men burst back in and led the woman away. These sketches were drawn up based on the witness's description of the suspects. AI Witness Report have since released these enhanced composites.
It's like, wait, how do we have like that face on the side? So I'm guessing it's just AI.
So far, these sightings could be chalked up to cases of mistaken identity or more fraudsters after reward money.
So it seems like we're not going to get any conclusion to this, unfortunately. But if she is still alive, it's like, oh, well, at least she's still alive, but these guys are keeping her held hostage and nobody's really doing anything about it.
After all, the FBI was offering a $25,000 reward for information that helped to bring an end to the investigation, while the Bradley family were offering a substantial $250,000 reward of their own. But here's where things become an internet mystery. In 2005, photographs of a woman resembling an older Amy, tired, gaunt, and frightened, surfaced online. The images had originally been posted on a now defunct website advertising adult holidays in the Caribbean.
I mean, are we saying this is adults? Amy, it looks like this picture was taken out of the 80s, if I want to be honest. Not like 2005 or whatever year it was saying it's being taken from. Just because of the hair, I mean, I know it's all like distraught and whatnot, but it looks just like 80s hair.
Her name was listed as Jazz. An independent forensic expert examined the photos and concluded that they were a near-perfect match for Amy. In his opinion, the facial structure, hairline, and piercings lined up completely. These pictures have since...
Yeah, I mean, side by side like that looks pretty good. I think it's just because the one on the bottom, but you can't see it because of the stupid red line. But I think what he's done, he's taken this picture and giving it the same lighting and quality as this picture, And thus, it's like, well, okay, now I see. You can like see the similarities between these two. Also, like maybe done some touch-ups to make her face look a little bit older here, but not completely. Yeah, I think this is like the undoctored version. This is the lighting changes, maybe making her look a bit less or a little bit older, a little bit of age. Like her cheeks aren't as rounded and whatnot. So I can see that.
Fueled online discussion and led many to believe that Amy was smuggled off the cruise liner and enslaved by a human trafficking ring.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it just that easy? It's like you would assume that it's the boat is in on it. Like the boat just does this to like one or two people or so every time it does a trip. And the band is there to just like seduce someone. Do you even want to use that word? And then once they've done that, they drug them and take them off the ship to be trafficked. And they just do this every so often, every time there's a trip.
On March 24th, 2010, exactly 12
Oh, whoops, I left a line on the screen. I didn't see that.
years after her disappearance, Amy was smuggled off the cruise liner and enslaved by a human trafficking ring. On March 24th, 2010,
2010.
exactly 12 years after her disappearance, Amy Lynn Bradley was declared legally dead. That's despite no body ever being found. Some believe Alistair Yellow Douglas was behind her vanishing. Perhaps he had pushed her into the ocean after she rejected his advances. Others suspect that she was smuggled off the ship by multiple crew members. But perhaps the simplest answer is the most likely, that these photos and all the supposed sightings are nothing more than red herrings, and that Amy truly did fall from the balcony. After all, middle-class white women from happy homes are far from your typical trafficking victims, especially when they're surrounded by their loving family, who will immediately begin searching for them, and when the operation involves smuggling them away in broad daylight. Such monsters typically target the disadvantaged, the isolated, and the vulnerable. According to her family, Amy was planning to enter a photography contest. Could it be that she stood on the small drinks table that was on the balcony to get a good shot of the sunrise over Curacao, only to fall overboard in the process? Regardless of her swimming ability, falling into the water from a great height would be like hitting concrete. They say it's the not knowing that's the hardest. And today, almost 3 decades since their beloved Amy vanished, the Bradley family are still searching for answers.
Yeah, so we still don't know what happened to it, which is what I was worried about, but oof. We still don't know. I mean, I'm on the side of like she got smuggled, like saying she just fell off. I don't really know about that. I mean, she could have got pushed. Like they went up to the top of the boat and then got pushed off by Yellow, but it still is Yellow's fault. But I don't know. I think there's foul play. I don't think Occam Razor here is she fell. I don't like it. That's foul. I think foul play is Occam's Razor in this situation.
A huge
That's
thank
the
you to my supporters here on YouTube and over on Patreon.
end of that video for Lazy Masquerade. But yeah, that was okay. Again, unfortunate that we have no conclusion to this, even, 20, like 30 years or so, however long it's been, like a million years later. Again, I already knew about this story. I'm not really new about it, but it's just too familiar. This one, how did this even happen? This does not seem like something that can just happen. This one we already heard about before, and of course we just got done talking about this one. Again, it's a shame that we still don't know what happened to her. But this story here, how did this happen? How did it be allowed to happen? Also, only 20 something years for this guy. Because it was a life in prison, but I think early parole starts at 20 something. I don't remember the exact details on that. But yeah, crazy story. of course, that's going to be all for today. I could think about doing double videos, but I don't think I'll be doing that. We're just going to do this one today, and then maybe tomorrow I'll be scheduled to just start doing Rotten Mango / Stephanie Sue stuff live. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to get the schedule fixed by then. We'll have to see. But don't worry, we'll be getting back to them soon. Don't go running off. Don't unsubscribe. It's only been 2 days. We can live without a Rotten Mango video for 2 days. / Stephanie Sue video. So, of course, when we do it, it will either be the Chinaverse video or the her newest video. That's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long or something like that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers or think about becoming a member or subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're working on watch time and subscribers, and don't forget we have thrown now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr and RaleyDrew. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Know the do. See ya. Oh, awesome. alexgkiller 880 as a member. But yeah, guys, see ya.